So it really feels like they're splitting up the marketing for this episode by putting one storyline in the promotional pics and putting the other storyline in the trailer. And I just don't understand why they don't do what they normally do, where they cut all the storylines together in the promotional pics and in the trailer. Now, sometimes the trailer will exclude stuff that's in the pics, which is obviously the case here, but the trailer will also have other storylines, so the trailer is more nitty-gritty and able to be dissected. But the trailer for this episode was heavily focused on Catherine's surgery. And it really feels from the episode description that there's only two storylines happening in this episode, which I find interesting. Now, possibly due to the fact that this episode might be kind of in a bubble with only these two storylines, there's more than likely a sub-storyline that will not be as important. But because it seems that there's only these two storylines, they've also released their promotional pics and the press release for episode 12, which I thought was pretty interesting. And we'll do a whole episode 12 video at some point this weekend to discuss those pics, which I think is so funny. They've already released pictures for episode 12, but we haven't seen a trailer. But let's quickly talk about the synopsis for this episode, which I think any of us could truly figure out from the trailer and the promotional pictures that you guys can see over here. So Amelia and Karasik tackle a daunting surgery on Catherine, while Richard and Jackson hope for the best. Meanwhile, Richard urges Meredith to visit her father, Thatcher, before his time is up. I think it's an absolute tragedy that Jeff Perry is only going to be back, my guess, for just this episode alone. In the Day of the Dead based episode, I think it would have been fantastic if he was there, and in this episode, and maybe one more. And don't even have him die. Have him come back sporadically. But from the pictures, as you can see, they've aged him horribly. Like, he looks like he's on death's door, which I think is so sad. Jeff Perry is a very strong actor. When he played the role of Cyrus Bean, he was extremely devious, extremely impactful, and you were kind of terrified of the character. Like, you loved to hate him. Very similar to Cersei Lannister, I would equivalent it to. But here, I can't feel bad. I can't feel anything but sadness, I should say, for Thatcher Grey, because he just seems like he's going to die. Now, these pictures are quite nice. I mean, seeing Meredith talking to Thatcher, and Thatcher's, looking at her in such a compassionate look, being like, oh my God, she's come to visit me. I've lost my wife. I've lost one of my daughters. I don't know where Molly is, and Molly's husband and whatnot, but he really seems like he's lost everything. I've struggled with this illness. Remember, Thatcher had a girlfriend too at one point, so where did she go? There's a lot of Thatcher's story that seems to be scattered to the winds that the Grey's Anatomy writers don't seem to care about, which I think is really a shame. And I think that also happens to due to the fact that when Lexi died, they kind of were like, well, why deal with Thatcher, because we're really focused on Meredith and her relationship with her deceased mother, even though, Thatcher is here. But they could have done a lot to give Thatcher and Meredith a relationship. They could have mended the fences. But I do like the fact that it seems that Meredith is being compassionate, talking to him, and Thatcher is, in return, being the same. And then, just you can see from the picture of his arm where it's all like liver spotted and whatnot, and he looks like he's going to die. And I think it's really sad. I mean, these pictures are nice, but they don't give too much away from the press release or at all. So, I mean, overall, I like what I see. I'm curious if he's going to die in this episode, or will they give it one more? I mean, it would make sense at the end of this episode that she gets a phone call and they find out that he passed, and like this was like his final thing, making amends with Meredith. But I don't know. I would have liked to have seen more of him. Season 15 I feel like there's a lot of opportunities to go back to touch on older characters and wrap up other storylines. Granted, we have at least another season after this one to do that as well. But there was so much more we could have done with Thatcher Grey. But overall, I mean, I like these pictures quite a bit. I like the trailer. I'm really looking forward to what's going to be happening with Catherine. Like, I want to know if Debbie Allen's character is going to leave the show. I love Debbie Allen. I think Thatcher is... I think Catherine is a fantastic character. I think that Thatcher had a lot of promise, but then just they decided to go in a completely different direction by essentially ignoring him. We barely ever got to see him and Ellis have a relationship as well, but that was also due to the fact that Ellis really didn't care for Thatcher. She always cared about Richard. But I really feel that, especially after Lexi died, Thatcher and Meredith could have formed a relationship. But I do wonder, will this be the last time we ever see him? And overall, these pictures are nice, but they're just kind of also bland in the sense of it, where we don't even hear any of the conversation. I would like to know what's being discussed, but I like what I'm seeing nonetheless. I don't like the split of the marketing here. But overall, I dig what I see, and I'm curious to see this episode. And I do wonder if there is a sub storyline. So anyway, really short review. Normally we have a lot more picks. We had 6 to look at, but honestly, the 2 where it's Meredith and Thatcher together, those photos, they were just really just different angles of the characters. But I really just like the individual shots, and then the 2 different angles we have here. Like there's no reason to have 4 angles because we don't know what the conversation is about. It's more than likely Meredith talking about her life and Thatcher hopefully being nice. I remember when Thatcher's wife died, he flipped out and slapped Meredith way back when. I think that was season 5 or 6. I think it was 6. But I do wonder, how he will treat Meredith. I think because of the fact he's old and going to die, he'll be very nice to her. So what do you think about these pictures? Do you wish that the marketing was more collaborative with Thatcher's storyline and Catherine's storyline? And are you excited for this episode? And as I said, I will cover the episode 12 promotional picks very, very soon, because there's a lot more of those than we have for episode 11. So thank you for watching. We'll talk real soon. All right, guys. Bye.